We have these books out there for sale. They're called the Science of Mind magazine, and they're changing it. They're only going to come out 6 times a year instead of 12. Of course, everything in print's not making a lot of money. But this one's got Don Miguel Ruiz's son. And I know I teach that 4 agreements at least once or twice a year because I think it changes lives. So if you want to buy one, there's a few out front. Some months we run right out, so. What the heck? Okay. I had to worry because I couldn't get my iPad to go sideways. I almost had to call you guys up there because I know you'd know what to do. Oh, you can lock it so it never goes the other way? Yeah. I'll be looking for you later. So my talk today is called Working with the Power. And I am Reverend Joanne Faith, Peace and Love, Boruck. Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Red Deer. This morning we're working with one power, but also finding out that it's unique and as individual as each one of us. So I ask you this morning to just call all your power home into your heart and go deep into your heart, into that place of love and healing, as I speak these words of affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment. There is only one love, one light, one faith, one power, all creative. I call this power God. This power works through me as me, and I am an open channel for peace, love, joy, kindness, compassion. My power is knowing I'm connected to each person here and to something greater than myself, greater than this life, greater than any circumstance that I encounter. That is the truth. Today I speak my truth, and the truth for all those who claim it as theirs. With loving thanks, I'm so very grateful to this Center for Spiritual Living, for this philosophy, for the discovery and development of this teaching by Ernest Holmes, for my friends and my family, for my health and vitality. There is so much to be grateful for. As I release my word, I know that it is already acted upon and returned to me, fulfilled and multiplied. And together we say, and so it is. And now it's time for us to reflect and to see the strength and power of all those, including ourselves, who are searching for support, love, and kindness today. Please take a moment to bring to mind all those who come to your heart as I send loving, healing thoughts to my sister Susan and my son Gary. Thank you. So every week they give us a month. This whole month is called Speaking Truth to Circumstance. And the title today that I chose is Working with the One Power. So speaking truth to circumstance. Often my sister will say to me, what does that mean? How do you write something about it? I don't even know what it means. And so I really thought about that, because even for me that was pretty daunting. truth to circumstance. But it really means that, truth replaces the hold you have on any circumstance in your life. Truth to circumstance means you are not your financial situation. You are not your physical situation or any other circumstance in your life. You are a divine being, and that is the truth. And the affirmation that they had was, I align with my true power and let her rip. I thought, that is a crazy statement. I don't think I've ever heard let her rip in the context of an affirmation, but I guess, why not? It really brought it home to me, because for so long, you're labeled, you're this and that, even as much as gender, as specific as gender and as general as your size. And, I was really happy to see that circumstance overrides, truth overrides circumstance. Power overrides truth. So if you don't like your circumstance, find out what your truth is, go to your place of power and live in that box, not the box of labels. There was a book I read when I was taking my ministry, and it was The Power of One, and I think it was written by Plotinus was his name, and he rewrote Plato's teachings, which were pretty hard to read. And Plotinus says we must honor the source. He says people idolize the moon, but all it is a reflection of the sun. We need to honor our source. And that's how we should view the world. Sometimes we idolize our surroundings, but they're only appearances. Sure, sometimes they're a reflection of who we are, and that's not all good. Sometimes we get more caught in the circumstance or our surroundings, we forget who lives inside that house. But the other side's also true. Sometimes a beautiful house, a beautiful garden, means that their truth to circumstance is beauty. They love beauty, so they surround themselves in it. I think about third world countries. And where do they find beauty? When I watch it on TV and I look at how happy they are, and I know we've seen this on Facebook. I don't know who's happier, those who have the most or those who need the least. But I tend to think those who need the least are the happiest, because they make the most out of what they have. So anytime we're living in harmony with our true source, with our own power, and we put that into mind, that is peace. In that book, again, he quotes, the physical world is limited because it's a reflection. It's not the original. When we know that, and when we know that we know, and when what we know and what we are and what we do are in harmony, that's when you're walking in power. So it got me thinking about power and what brings power into a process. And it's kind of like the 5 love languages. Everybody has a different way that they digest love. And if you haven't read it, it's really good. It talks about some people are motivated by gifts. Some people are motivated by physical touch. Some people are motivated by acts of service. And so everybody has a different love language, just like power. I think everybody has their own power source. And so I do a lot of research to think, okay, first I looked up what is truth to circumstance? 0 came up. I looked up what is truth to power? Millions of things came up. And one of the things that came up was a Buddhist teaching about power. And they say that all of us come to our place of power on a different path. Not everybody's the same. And they formed it into 5 different things. Some people take this path of faith into their power. Some people take the path of action, which is energy, motivate. And some people are motivation. So some people move, some people have faith, some people use mindfulness. They pay attention to everything that's going on around them, and that's how they stay in their power. Some people concentrate or meditate to find their power. Some people absorb wisdom. They read all the books. They find everything they can about a certain thing, and that's how they walk in their power. Which was really new to me because I lean towards faith. I think that's why my mother called me Faith, because she knew at some point I was going to find my way, and faith was going to be the way I went. So I lean towards faith. But there's lots of different ways of power in the world, and it helps me understand why people aren't in droves coming here. That's not where they find their power. So I got to work harder to find a way that I can incorporate all those ways. How I can incorporate my faith with action, with mindfulness, with meditation, and with wisdom. Oh, that's pretty daunting. But it really allows me to see there's not one way to anything. So those 5 real powers in the world, in that Buddhist belief. And for me, faith is a consciousness. Just like for other people, doing things brings them into consciousness. Faith is a belief in things not seen, and it's my higher power, and it's a consciousness that offers me a sense of peace, contentment, and confidence, and hope. And so how come that's not the same for everybody? Well, because even though we're all one, we have one power source, just like there's only one power grid, but we must have a power bar in the world. And everybody plugs into something else. And it doesn't matter what you plug into, as long as you know there's only one source, whatever that is. And when you plug into that source, there's limitless energy, limitless love, limitless possibility. I just happen to call it God. Do you know how many names there are for that? Power, Buddha, Jesus, Allah, loving energy, universe, great mystery, spirit guide, inner self, true self, creative self. Regardless of the name, you use your spiritual power. And it's an invisible source. Whatever that source is, you can't see it. You can't buy it. Thank you, Laura Lee. Guess what? You feel it. That is great. So that's for the betterment of all, and just one of them. In some teachings, they talk about all 5 powers every Sunday: faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. In Corinthians in the Bible, I like to look through the Bible and see what they say, and because Ernest Holmes, his dad was a minister. And so that's how he started this. He was known as the Great Question Mark. And so he'd go to church with his dad, who was a Methodist minister. He'd say, like, why? Why? His brother, Fenwick, was a minister too, eh? Why? And so I like to sometimes look in the Bible and see how Ernest Holmes took those readings and he transformed them into how it's relevant 2,000 years later. So in Corinthians 2-4 it says, "My message, my preaching was not in persuasive words of wisdom, but in the demonstration of the Spirit and power, that the message is itself." So after I read that, I thought, that really tells me that people are not motivated. They're not persuaded by words. They are changed and persuaded by the demonstration, by how I live my life. So that is power and circumstance. The circumstances are never the truth. So this building is great. And I get to stand up here and speak my words, and that's great. But how I live my life, in joy, in happiness, it's uncomfortable for some people. When you smile a lot, people have been seen circumstance where people that are happy have something to hide. And I'm happy now to say, yeah, I got something to hide. Life is joyful. So that is, the circumstance is this. The truth is who we are when we walk out this door. So as we work through it this month, next week I'm going to discuss the next one, which is action. How can we take action to bring power into our lives and into our circumstances? And I'm going to use everyone. But as I was discovering what faith really is, the faith and the face of all of those things came to me. I have to have faith, and I have to take action. I have to have faith, and I have to be mindful. I have to have faith, and I have to meditate. I have to have faith, and I also have to learn all the time. So for all of you, you might think, yeah, I don't have great faith, but boy, I really love to learn. I think wisdom is my power. But if you think about it, maybe they're all part of us, and we're at a different place in our life. I don't think one is more powerful than the other, because we're all one. And what I see in you is also in me. And what you see in me is also in you. And that goes for good and bad, because we're all one. So it's important to remember that people are not influenced by our words. They're influenced by our actions. But words, words can be pretty harmful. I was talking to Sydney, and what's your friend's name? Rin was talking about God with the big G and the little g, and in the 4 agreements he says that too. Be impeccable with your word. Watch the words that you use the capital letters, because those have impact. So I was thinking about words, and I was saying, people aren't influenced by our words, and my brain's always thinking, well, that's not right, because when you say mean things to people, they're influenced by that. And so I had to kind of backtrack and think, well, just make sure that you don't say those words anymore then. People can be influenced by your words, even if it tells me that they can't. I really believe people can be influenced by our words, and so it's really important to speak kind words. And some of us go through our whole life. I have a family that's not here, you probably notice. Some of them believe and some of them don't. And some of them go through life, they don't even want to know there's a power inside of them. They like to take their power from something or somebody else. And it's enough for them to know that there is a power greater than they are in the universe, and they can use it. They're happy to know it, but they don't want to delve too deep into it. I don't know if you know people that are just starting a spiritual journey, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so much work. Why do you do all that? And I do it because I'm curious, and I want to know what makes me tick, what makes you tick. And I'll never figure it out, so I know it's an endless journey. Power is also a word that triggers a lot of people because they don't know there's only one power. When we talk about powerful people in the world, I did a talk one day about powerful people, and when I was researching it, do you know the powerful people that come up on the good old internet were all people that had attained massive wealth. That was their version of power. So I changed my search. I said, powerful people who changed the world. Oh, that list was a lot shorter. And, sorry you guys, but it was mostly women on that. Because you guys have been ingrained that your worth is attached to your wealth. I know that's changing now, but on the internet they don't know that it's changed now. Your worth is your worth and has nothing to do with your wealth. So some of us are intimidated by that word power, and some of us know that it's just an opportunity, an invitation to open the door. And the spiritual realm, sometimes we don't see it because we're always looking at smoke and mirrors. And this all leads to so many different methods of healing. There's mirror work. And I also listen to this Buddhist, his name is Prem Rawat, and he's always talking about clean the glass. If you've got a cloudy glass, you can't see what's in front of you. Smoke and mirrors, he calls it. And it's a masquerade. And you know what? Those mirrors, they shatter in the face of truth. And I talked about that power bar. It really, as I was writing, walking around, looking at all the powerful things I had in my house, my kettle, my coffee pot, I don't know what I'd do if the power went out. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just run to my neighbors and put a big extension cord. And that really got me thinking, maybe we should just need a really long extension cord. Maybe we already have one in our heart. We have an extension cord to a power greater than I am. And I realize now I have a really deep faith in myself. And that was a great gift that my mom gave me. And so I invite you, as you leave here today, to think of all the ways that you have energy, that you use your power, whether it's through mindfulness, through action, through meditation, through learning. Mine just happens to be faith. This week at the center, I quoted from Ernest Holmes, and the quote was, "Faith has been recognized as a power throughout the ages, whether it be faith in God, faith in one's fellow man, in oneself, or in what one is doing. Those who have great faith have great power." And that's from the Science of Mind. And so I did this affirmation that was totally for me, but if you could just say it with me, and then, I'll get it 20 times. The affirmation is, I have great faith. I have great faith. I have faith in great power. I have faith in great power. I have great faith in the One. I have great faith in the One. So working with the one power is your divine essence. It raises you above fear into a place of faith. So now I'd like to invite you to participate in an exercise to help you move at any time from fear to faith. And I'd like you to participate because I firmly believe what you hear, you remember for a day, what you speak, you remember for a week, and what your body gets involved with becomes part of you, and you can recall it at any time. It's called, I did a meditation about posture prayers. So it says in here, and this is part of the Fear to Faith workshop, and if somebody's interested, I'd love to teach it. It says, it's based on the ancient metaphysical principle that says, what the body does, the soul remembers. And what the soul remembers, it does to the body. This includes not only our physical body, but the body of our affairs. Whether we have an experience in the physical world, our soul tends to draw conclusions from that. So the purpose of a posture is to transform our beliefs by using our body to create new experiences for our soul based on the principles of truth. And so we're going to do a few of them, and at the bottom it says, remember, devotion to the motion will produce an emotion. So when we were doing our meditation, we did this one. And it starts out with hands on heart. I release my belief. And in Fear to Faith, when we talk about belief, we have a belief because it serves us. There's something we get from it. From believing we don't have money or we don't have time, there's a spin-off to that. So I release my belief in something. So then I have to release the need for that belief. And then we do the power pose that I am grateful. And we bring it back to our heart that the nature of the divine is here in the present moment. So we're going to do it, hands on heart. We're going to do it for lack, health, and this terrible word called guilt. I release my belief in lack. I release all of my needs. I am grateful.
I am grateful.
I am wealthful. One more time. I release my belief in lack.
I release my belief in lack.
I release all of my needs.
I release all of my needs.
I am grateful.
I am grateful.
I am wealthful.
I am wealthful.
And the next one. I release my belief in disease.
I release my belief in disease.
I release my need to be healed.
I release my need to be healed.
I am grateful.
I am grateful.
I am healthful.
I am healthful.
I release my belief in guilt.
I release my belief in guilt.
I release my need to feel forgiven.
I release my need to feel forgiven.
I am grateful.
I am grateful.
I am loveful.
I am loveful.
I am grateful.
I am grateful.
I am loveful.
I am loveful.
And so I'm going to show you just a couple more that you can take home and use. So the prayer position. The prayer position is a universal posture that evokes reverence and humility. It symbolizes surrender between the head and the heart. It's the individual's effort to surrender to the universe. And this posture, it's a feeling of exuberation and enthusiasm. It's almost impossible to have this posture and frown at the same time because you raise your hands and your head automatically goes up. So when you're feeling down, you bring it up.
Bring it up.
And the one on your heart is called the love posture. And it brings a feeling of gratitude, delight, and ecstasy. It's also called the I am posture. And it evokes feelings of being one with yourself. And this posture is good because your thymus gland is right behind there. And so it gives you a major energy boost. This life energy is located right behind your heart. And then when we did this is called the release posture. It demonstrates a sense of vulnerability and allows hidden fears to come to the surface. You don't even have to know what they are. This posture facilitates the release of circumstance that no longer serves you and allows you to be one with life and embrace all that's there. And the last one, they call this the Madonna pose. This posture evokes a feeling of acceptance and oneness. What's unique about this posture is that it demonstrates giving and receiving because your hands aren't clenched and your hands aren't open. So this is a posture of giving and receiving, and it symbolizes the universal expression of circulation, prosperity, and that's the foundation for life expression. So last one, prayer pose. I surrender. Praising pose. I am joyful.
I am joyful.
Love pose. I am. And release pose. I release false beliefs.
I release false beliefs.
And Madonna pose. I give and receive.
I give and receive.
Thank you. I am Reverend Joanne, faith, peace, and love, Boruck. And I see your power. Have an amazing week. Until we meet again, be happy, be gentle, be kind. And so it is. Thank you.